Welcome back to Let's Make a Game. In this video I'm going to show you how to combine tables with arrays and for loops to display information about your game. So I have an example here which is a very common use of tables in computer role-playing games, which is to display information about the player characters. So we have one column with the names of the characters, and then we have two statistics about them, AC and HP. We saw something very similar in the previous video, but in the previous video I specified all the values by hand, and in a real game you would almost certainly be doing it the way that I'm about to show you, which is that you would have the information stored in several arrays and you would read them in order to display it. So let's have a look at the code. First of all, we have these arrays which give us the information about the different characters. In this case, we've just set the values, but of course, in a real role-playing game, often the player would be choosing the character's name, and the armor class and hit points would depend on particular choices that they made. But either way, we would end up with the information stored in an array. So we have one array which is the characters' names, one which is their AC, one which is their HP. Presumably this means armor class and hit points. Now, you probably noticed there's this quote at the beginning of the array. The reason for that is just that, as with a lot of computer languages, in Twine Sugarcube, the first position in an array is the 0th position. And I find that a little counterintuitive. I would prefer, if there are 4 characters, I'd prefer them to be character 1, character 2, character 3, and character 4, not characters 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I put this sort of blank entry in slot 0. You don't have to do that. You can just remember that it starts from 0. It's purely a personal choice. But the point is that we have this information in arrays, and then we're going to read it and display it. So first of all, we need to do a header, and the header is always going to be the same. We start the table. As we saw in the last video, we use TR and then a series of TDs. So we have a cell with name, one with AC and one with HP, and they're all made bold, and then we close off that top row. So that set bit of code covers this top row here, the headings. Then we're going to read the information that will be different in each run of the game, or at least would be in a real role-playing game. So here's the for loop, and it goes from 1 to 4. So presumably in this hypothetical game there are always exactly 4 characters, because otherwise we wouldn't have a set number here, we'd have some sort of variable. For each run through we do a row, because each character gets their own row. We do a row, and then we do a series of TDs, very similar to the heading, except that instead of a set value, we have the relevant slot of the relevant array. So print, in the first run through, print name slot 1, then print AC slot 1, then print HP slot 1. Now you notice these are all aligned to the right. That's just because when you have numbers, and the numbers have a different number of digits, because by default things are aligned to the left, you probably want to specify that they should be aligned to the right, because then single digits, the units column will line up with the units column of the other numbers. Otherwise this would be on the left, it would be in the same column as these ones, and that's not normally how we deal with numbers, of course. Once we've done the TDs, we then do a /tr to indicate the end of the row, and then we go through the next run through of the for loop, and then finally we do /table, which of course indicates the end of the table. And that is a very common use of tables. But you don't have to just use tables for displaying tables of information, which is their original purpose. You can actually put, for example, pictures, and you can make tables that don't so much display information as define the layout of your screen. If you want a fairly complicated layout, a good way to do that is with a table. And we'll start to talk about how to do that in the next video. But I will leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.